Hello, everybody. So let's see here. On class on Wednesday, let's look ahead on the calendar. Boy, we're in March already. This will be March 6th. We're almost at the end of the course, and we'll be talking about Android. And um, when working with Android, there is a new IDE that you'll use. Well, it's not new. It's something called Android Studio. It's actually based on IntelliJ. So there are many aspects that will be familiar, but it does require you to install some new software, and there are some steps that you need to go through. And while I could demonstrate all of this in class, I think what I'll do so that we can dedicate more time to actually looking at Android code and, of course, doing our second mob programming kata. I thought then I would take some time here on the weekend to pre-record the steps for installing Android Studio, creating your first Android project, putting that all in GitHub, so that and then ask you to prepare that, do that work before class, just to make sure that you can run Android Studio on your development machine. There have been a couple of occasions over the years where a student's laptop either doesn't have the right hardware requirements or maybe it's a little underpowered. And in that case, we'll need to figure out what we can do. But I think the vast majority of people ought to have enough horsepower to run the Android Studio and its emulators. So let's dive into that. So let's first take a look at a Project 6. I'll walk through the details of all of this in class. I think what's most important is this link right here to developer.android.com. And this is where you can get Android Studio and learn how to configure it and stuff. So let's see here. This is what the homepage looks like these days. It's got this Android Studio link or button, so we'll click that. And this is Android Studio. So it is the recommended IDE for developing Android. And just click here. The current version is called Iguana. Okay. And of course there'll be lots of licenses. We are using third-party software here. Now, I've already downloaded Android Studio lots of times. I've read over this before. I'm okay with all the terms and conditions. So I will just say that I have read them. I encourage you to read them. I have an Intel chip on my Mac, and so now we'll download. Now some of these steps do take a bit of time, especially on my older machine, and so probably what I'll do is just fast forward here or increase the speed of the video. So you might want to pause it here. While if you are playing along in real time, feel free to pause it at any time so that you can so you can do your thing and then catch up with mine. Okay. Well, now we have downloaded Android, and actually, before we leave this page, I do encourage you to spend some time poking around developer.android.com to learn more about Android and the Android platform. I have to admit, the stuff that's in the slides is what I consider fundamentals of Android and kind of the some of the original APIs. There's lots of new stuff, and I encourage you to play with it. But it's kind of complex, and we do have limited time here. So I think I would recommend is that start with the stuff that's simple, get things working, and then as your time and curiosity permits, start working with more advanced stuff. So it downloaded a DMG installer here on my Mac. So I will open this up. Here it is. It's doing its thing. Okay. Now we have the Mac installation experience of clicking one thing and dragging it into something else. There it is. Okay, it's installing Android Studio. Okay, all installed. And so now I will double click on Android Studio to start it up. So I've installed Android Studio on this machine a number of times, and I think I've cleaned up all of like the configuration artifacts and things like that. And hopefully that your experience is similar enough to what you're seeing in this video. If there are big differences, please reach out, let me know, and I can work with you on all of that. There it is. Nope. Okay, good. It's saying import settings. Nope, I don't have anything to import. It probably detected that there's an older version or some other version has been installed at some point. Let's click OK and launch it. Let's get rid of these other folders here. Okay, great. Here is Android Studio. So it'll help up set the development environment. Great. I want just standard. I think is fine here. And okay. So let's see here. It is going to install an Android emulator. Okay, this is good. And some tools. All of this are things that you need for working with Android. They're talked about in the lectures exactly what these emulators are, but basically what it allows you to do is run something that looks a lot like a phone. Actually, is the actual phone software on your development machine which then allows you to interact with everything and test out your app. So this is version 34. I was going to recommend 33, but we can figure out how to use 33 in a subsequent step. Okay, great. More licenses to acknowledge. I have read over all this stuff, so I accept this for the Android SDK, and then I guess there's also a That's interesting. It says, okay, yeah. So, okay. Also, the Intel system image. Yeah. So this is just unique to my machine because I'm running on a Mac Intel. Okay. Finish this. Okay. And so now it is downloading stuff, and probably will be for a while. Okay, well, it looks like it's downloaded and installed everything. And so it installed the SDK, the software development kit, created an Android virtual device, which is an emulator for the Google Pixel 3a using API 34. And that's nice. That's good to know. Let's click finish, and then I guess it'll probably get us started. Okay, here we are. So we have configured some Android stuff here on my machine, and now we're going to actually create our first project from Android Studio. This kind of looks familiar to like IntelliJ, right? It's basically the same thing. Now, the first thing I want to do, maybe it's because I'm old, but I don't. I prefer light mode over dark mode. So, oh yeah, so much better. High contrast for me. I like that a lot. So, I apologize if you're watching this video like late at night and all of a sudden it woke you up a little bit. And there's also kind of a weird display thing with these buttons. I don't know. That could be my machine. Could be something with Android Studio. I don't think it causes any problems. So, now that I've got, and now I've sort of gone from configuring Android tooling to my Android project. So we're going to create a new project. Now, Android Studio lets you choose from a bunch of project templates, if you will. And let's see here. I am going to, let's see here, basic views, empty views. I think I'm going to do the basic view. I used to do the empty activity, but I tried this yesterday and I noticed there wasn't a Java version available. Well, I'll speak to that in a moment. Let's just you do a basic views activity. Click next here. Okay, so it's creating a new project. And by the way, so with Android with the Android project, I don't create. There isn't a script that you need to run because well, just because. Actually, it's because the Android projects aren't built with Maven; they're built with a tool called Gradle. And Android Studio makes this so easy; it creates all the pieces parts for you that I just figured just do it this way. So you'll go through these very similar steps. So let's see here. The name will be Appointment Book. And this name is, well, the name of the project is also used for some default values for the application itself, like what the name of the application on the device. The package name will be what you've been using before, so edu pdx cs410 capital J, and then your user ID. I'll save it in the location of my I'll put it in the winter 2024 GitHub repository. So the same one that all my other projects go in, and I encourage you to do the same. So git and then sorry, I'm on this machine. It's PSU git Portland State Java winter 2024. Great. Okay, that's where it is. And then also subfolder of that apt-book-android. Oh yeah, right. I already created one of these. I forgot to delete it just now. So just gonna pause recording, fix that. Okay, fix that. So now it's not complaining that it exists there anymore. Language. This is an important choice that you need to make. So Android was originally developed with Java, and then the Android people and Google decided that Java they wanted an alternative language for a couple of reasons. One was hey, there are some rough corners in Java. They didn't want so much uh, boilerplate code to have to work with. But also, there's been ongoing legal troubles about who exactly controls Java and who can use it. Is it Oracle? Is it the community? It's pretty much been resolved by now. But the Android folks invented this language called Kotlin that Android projects can be developed in. It's a fine language, but for this course, I'm not going to expect everybody to learn a brand new language. Here in the last couple of weeks of class, I want you to be focused on Android stuff, so we'll use Java instead. A lot of the examples that you might see out there are in Kotlin, but you can get Java examples for everything else. Minimum SDK. There are various versions of Android out there. I think the oldest one that's still reasonably supported is Android 7 or the API 24. The nice thing about this is that it tells you, hey, about how many devices will support it. For this class, there's only one kind of device you need to support, and that's API 33, which I think should work for on all of your machines to do development. And then let's see here. Oh yeah, build configuration language. We don't want the Kotlin-based DSL. We want, come on, we want the Gradle one. There we go. I want the Gradle one. There's the Groovy DSL in Gradle. Okay, I'm just going to double check this. Name is appointment book. That is the package. It's going to be in my winter 2024 appointment book Android. It's going to be in Java. Use API 33 and use the Groovy DSL. Okay. So I'll finish this. Okay, and now it will create, nice, project here. Oh, Windows are having problems displaying. Interesting. Just resize my window and see if that helps. Yeah, my computer is working kind of hard. Wow. Okay, this wasn't this ugly yesterday. I wonder if this is a light mode thing. Okay, so what it did was it created a new project, and there's some files in the project. These are all build files. So this Gradle and build.gradle and all that kind of stuff. This is Gradle is the successor to Maven, essentially. So these are all the things. These are all the things we're building. And as you can imagine, building an Android project where you have to, not only compile the code, but then also run it on an emulator and compile everything like the DEX files and everything that's required to build the application. It's more complex, and so then while Maven could be done, the Android authors decided to use Gradle instead, and that's fine. And I do want to put all of these in version control, so we'll add them there. The Android project also creates a bunch of source code files. And we'll be walking through all of these. We'll be walking through all these in class, but I'll show you a couple of them here shortly. And it's everything from a bunch of XML configuration for the layout of the app to I guess some more build scripts and stuff. Add that. And then finally, there's a bunch of Java code that backs all of this stuff. This is the Java code contains all of the logic for handling the user interactions and getting it widgets and that are displayed in your application and working with them. There's also an example unit test here too. Okay, so add all those to Git, and wait, there's more. Okay, fine. Nice. Okay. Well, here we have our ID, and okay, I'm not super happy about like what's all that stuff going on over there. Oh, by the way, there is all of this like, new stuff there. Yeah, I can't even read that because I think there's a problem maybe with light mode. Well, so I might just have to change back to dark mode just so we can read that stuff. I don't recall having this problem yesterday, but let's just go with dark mode for the time being. Here we go. Okay, now I can see that stuff. Okay. Well, so maybe a bug or, this machine's kind of old, so maybe it's not so good there. Okay, so you can see down here at the bottom, it is downloading all sorts of stuff because it's building the application that was just created. As you can see, things are happening here. I don't want to take your survey about Kotlin adoption. It's telling me that my Git is too old. I think that'll be fine. Yep, things are building. I'm just going to let it do its thing. Okay, well, it looks like it is all done. Analyzing, so it went and created the project, it built the project, and then of course it does its IntelliJ thing. It does its Android Studio thing, and went and analyzed all of the source code, did the syntax highlighting so that we can see things, all sorts of great stuff. And actually, I'll just quickly walk through. Let's see here. This is the Android view of things, so it gives you both the an application view. Let's just quick take a look at the project view also. This is probably more what you've been used to looking at, or at least what I'm used to looking at in IntelliJ. So this is like there's this appointment book Android project. This is all again here. It's in the same directory as the rest of my source code. But it's its own project. And so you'll have the IntelliJ project for your projects 1 through 5. Project 6, you'll now have the Android Studio project. And it's got all sorts of stuff in it for the project. So this .gradle stuff is for running Gradle, which again is the build system. And it's like the build.gradle specifies all of that. And then the main bulk of the code is in this app directory. And so you've got source main and source test, like we're used to seeing for our other Java projects. But now it's also something called Android test, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday. And then it's got the main source code, and then also there's this res or resource. Now these are resource files like the ones that you used for your readme.txt and for the resource files that you used in your tests. But all of these resource files, these are Android resource files, and these are used for things like display strings that can be customized. Um, Other various values, actually very importantly, the layout. These are XML files that describe the layout of the application. But before we dive too much more into the details of it, let's run the application. So, oh yeah, okay, right here is a drop down that describes all of the oh yeah, it describes all of the emulators that are available. Out of the box, it comes with a Pixel 3 emulator working at API version 34. And so if we just say run our app, this will, as you can see, the Gradle build is running down there. And so what it's doing now is it's building the application. If I click on this, we'll be able to see all the details. Well, maybe not. That's not very useful. Oops, I didn't want to cancel. I just want to minimize. There we go. Okay, and what it's doing is launching the virtual device. It's launching the emulator for the Android app, and that will appear over on the right. There it is. Okay, it was hidden. So here we have a phone emulator, right? And so then, what Android does is, well, or rather, what Android Studio does is it has these emulators for phones, and you can interact with this. So here we have, I can just scroll by clicking and scrolling. I can click this next button, and it goes to another page. I can click previous, and it goes back. I can also, what does this do? I think if I click on this, it gets, okay, that's how you can create an action. That's pretty cool. There's this little drop down here where you can go to something called settings. Okay, that's all pretty. This is a good one. I think this will be good for starting starting your application. So, and let's see here. What does this do? Window. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, this moves into its own window. I find this a little bit easier, especially on my laptop where the screen's a little small. Yeah, so now I've got the emulator in its own window and I can play with it that way. Nice. So, this is actually kind of cool, and I can put it back in here. I can dock it. I think I'm gonna leave mine as a window. So anyway, so as you're developing your application, as you're making changes to your application, you can simply redeploy the application back to the emulator and see what's changed. So let's see here. If I just close that, yeah, I guess it's still running on the emulator, and now I can just go back here and find it. Okay, that works pretty well. They changed the layout of Android Studio with every release, and it's been like a year since I've used it, and so that's why I'm not super familiar with these things. The other thing, so actually, one of the nice things about this newer version of Android Studio is that it comes with an emulator out of the box. And by the way, the emulator is still running, so I bet I can turn it off by powering it down. I guess the other things you can do here is you can rotate it and stuff. And also, Android has um, these buttons that you can, that used to be physically on the device. I don't know how they're virtual anymore, but like there was, so let's just launch an app. So I think this is the app that was built here. It's got this icon with a little Android. Yep, there it is. And so we can click the plus to go to the, what does it say, overview? Yeah, and oh, looks like we're running a couple copies of it. So we are. So we're just clicking drag and, oops, come on. Let's try once more. Did I go too far off screen or something? Okay, let's drag to the bottom. Will that work? No. Oops, there's a little bit of a lag because my computer's working kind of hard. There we go. If you're very careful, this is how you can end app. So basically, I am just swiping up here. Come on. Nice. But you know what? I was saying this is a real emulator, so I can do things like I can launch Chrome on the device, and the emulator doesn't know any better. So use it without an account. Yeah, okay. I don't need notifications. Thank you very much. And here you've got Chrome on your phone, and so it's uh, the actual application that's running here. Cool stuff like that. And so they can take screenshots, and you can simulate the video camera, and oh, you can get a keyboard. Oh, it's hardware input, yeah. But we'll see later. I'm just always curious to see what's under extended controls these days. Okay, yeah, right. You can set the location. You can, oh yeah, you can mess with you can change the battery level on the device. So let's say you have an app that goes into a low power mode or something. You can basically set all these things for the emulator and then test your software appropriately. Anyway, this is all super cool stuff. But anyway, but this is the whole idea. Android and Google and all the vendors want to provide a really good experience for the developers, that people will develop applications for the devices, and so they can sell more phones, right? I mean, it's what they're in business to do. So, okay, excellent. I am going to power down the emulator. Nice. Okay. Um, and I thought the little light would go off. Maybe it doesn't. Okay. Uh, and the other thing that what we've had to do in the past is we've had to create a new device and download a new emulator. But if everybody's getting this Pixel 3a API 34, that might be good enough. So let's just go with that. Otherwise, what we'll need to do is we'll need to go into the device manager or the SDK manager. And there's a better way to do this. Where we look at where's devices, I guess. Running devices, device manager. That's what I was looking at. Okay, here's where, and actually this is one that I created before for Pixel 5 API 33. I'm just going to delete that. Forgot to clean this up before recording this demo. I apologize. Oh, interesting. It looks like there are two of these. Okay. Oh, I can also just. Oh, I see. This will stop the emulator right here. And I don't need two of these. It looks like when I reinstalled Android Studio, create a second one. Because what you can do, let's see here, this is for, okay, yeah, this is like if I had an actual physical device, which you can try, and I think it'll work pretty well, but it's much faster to develop on an emulator, so or a virtual device. So by creating a new one of these, you can choose from all sorts of devices that are out there. So these are all these are all Google Pixels, I guess. I don't know if how you can get other, maybe you have to import other vendors and stuff. It might not come with other vendors out of the box. But what I've done before, oops, I'm scrolling around too fast here. Yeah, I've used a Pixel 5. So this is what we've done before. Created a Pixel 5, and yep, you can choose all that. And then I've used API 33. And so now it's downloading the tools and the APIs for working with version 33 of Android. Okay, that's done. Took a while. But yeah, now installed some new APIs. We'll finish that. So now we have a new device emulator and we have a new API level. Right, this is basically, the version of Android that runs on that machine. We can give it a name. It'll start up in portrait. All sorts of great stuff. Okay, so I think just keeping the defaults is fine. Nice. And now we can start that, we can launch that device here, and it puts it in the new window, which is nice. We can actually run both this one, the Pixel 5, and the Pixel 3a. That probably tax my computer pretty bad, so I'm not going to do that. Nice, here we are. It's all started up. So now we can run the our app again on on the device, on the running device, on the Pixel 5. Let's click run there. And if we go back, we'll see that stuff is happening. Down here it's saying launching on devices. Yep, and here it is on this one too. And again, it's got a whole bunch of boilerplate text. And you can go to next and previous. Nice. So I think this is everything that I wanted to demonstrate. So what I appreciate if you could do before class on Wednesday is set aside some time and make sure you can get this far with Android Studio. I guess the last thing that I'll show here is let's just stop all this stuff. Stop the device because it's making my computer work a little hard. The last thing I'm going to show is just committing the code, right? It's just IntelliJ. So I believe this is yep, this is all that, and it's got a whole bunch of files to add. Oh, what is the unversioned file? Okay, something in the target directory. Never mind then, don't need to be putting that in there. Okay, so like just put it here and then added an Android application. Nice. Let's see here, commit and push. It might ask me for credentials or something. Don't know if it knows the ones from IntelliJ. Commit and push. Yep, push these to GitHub. Nope, it looks like it already knew my credentials and everything, so hopefully it does the same for you. Awesome. Okay, and now all that code is up there. I guess just note that uh, and I'll talk about this in class. So I don't test the projects, the Android projects on the PSU machines. That's really not feasible, maybe not even possible. I'm gonna test them on my own laptop. Hopefully, since we're running in emulators and stuff, it's pretty safe. I don't worry about it, even though it's not my code. And so then you don't need to. Yeah, and actually, you can't do much of any Android development. Certainly not on Linux machines. I don't know if there's some PSU Windows machine that you could use, but here again, if you have problems using your development laptop for doing Android development, please let me know as soon as possible, and we can figure out how to approach this. Okay, thanks everybody for watching this. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in class on Wednesday. Bye now.